I'm always ready to go to the club when the song plays. What's up?
That's the jam, isn't it?
It is the jam. I love it.
I forgot to turn my light on. Now the light's on, which is good.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That intro of all, I'm sorry, I'm just going to call it, of all the streaming shows on horse racing, social media, that opens the best.
It's so good. It's so good. Welcome, everybody, to BC Live, a special Rico Woodbine Mile edition of BC Live. I'm Dan Tordjman with America's Best Racing. She is Ren Carothers, Breeders' Cup Future Stars Forecast Superstar. How you doing, Ren?
I'm doing great. I mean, not only do we have the Rico Woodbine Mile today, a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup, FanDuel Mile, right?
Yep, the
presented by
Mile.
the PDJF. Yep. So not only do we have that, but tomorrow, we're not going to be on tomorrow, but we also have Win and You're in action for Future Stars Friday with the Natalma and the Summer Stakes. So that's pretty exciting.
Big weekend of Win and You're in races. I did want to note before we get to the racing today, the reason I'm wearing a jacket specifically is because when else to wear a jacket indoors, but when you have a Rico Woodbine Mile jacket. So I had to bust that out today. So I'm excited, Ren. I don't know.
We got some great racing coming on.
We do. Let's get right over to Woodbine, and we've got the live stream up right now.
Yep.
You can see up there up top 3 minutes until race 7, which is the Singspiel Stakes, 1.25 miles on the turf. A grade 3, a really good race in a competitive field. Graham Motion with 2 horses in here, including the current favorite at 5-2, the 4-horse Standard Deviation. He's also got the 9-horse Nakamura, so he's got the top 2 choices. You've got Justin Stein, the top rider at Woodbine right now on Standard Deviation. And you've also got Nakamura with Kazushi Kimura as your second choice for Motion. So he's got the top 2 riders, the top 2 horses in the betting. And Ren, I believe you like at least one of those horses.
I do. Right before we came on, I was telling you how I did not like this race. In fact, I was telling Mr. Matt Carothers earlier, I said, this might even be an all race. And nothing was really pulling me into one direction. And then right before I came down here to get on with you, I landed on Standard Deviation. Now, I didn't think I was going to get 8-1. The morning line obviously was very much inflated, but I did not think he was going to be your current 5-2 favorite. Obviously, part of that equation is the Justin Stein factor. But if you look at this horse's running lines and his, just the level of class which he has been facing, if he runs his A game, he should win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, super classy horse. Plenty of back form as well. I mean, this is a horse that was previously with Chad Brown. You can see he got a couple of races now with Graham Motion. The race 2 back was a bit better than the UN last out, but you could forgive that race. I decided to go against both the 4 and the 9 for only one reason, and that's because for whatever reason, Graham Motion wins everywhere. Surprisingly, he's just 1 for 14 with graded stakes runners at Woodbine over the past 2 years.
You're going to hold his stats against him.
I mean, 1 for 14? I mean, that's just...
I hear you.
Know?
Well, what were the odds of those 4 other 13 horses?
I would imagine, like I pulled up the data a little earlier, and I don't have it in front of me now, but I would imagine most of them obviously took plenty of action, and they were all live chances. Just hasn't won for whatever reason, and I'm trying to remember off the top of my head how many of them hit the board. Just not a very high number, and I thought that was slightly concerning. Now, don't get me wrong, I played a pick 5. And defensively, I used Standard Deviation. I didn't think you could leave Standard Deviation off.
No.
But I didn't use Nakamura. I do like 2 other horses in here that I'll mention. And I'm actually quite pleased with the prices that I'm seeing on both of them. The first is Tiz a Slam, right now 9-2, the 7-horse.
He could be dangerous if he gets loose on the lead.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, especially because you see the 2
Admiralty Pierre.
Yeah, Admiralty Pierre. So Admiralty Pierre was, a horse who, spoiler alert, if you tuned into Woodbine Live yesterday, is a horse I'm really high on in the Woodbine Mile. I thought he would have been super live here as well.
Oh, yeah.
And figured to be the main speed here. Now, without Admiralty Pierre in this race, how do you not like Tiz a Slam? This is a horse who's won 3 straight graded stakes last year, going wire to wire, including the Grade 2 Nijinsky at Woodbine. You put a line through that all-weather try last out, didn't get away well, and he does his best when he's near the front. So I think if he gets out cleanly, he should do well. And I just want to mention, as they're getting into the gate, if you're looking for a price, The 10 horse right now, Jungle Fighter,
Yeah.
with the wide draw, I think it makes sense for this horse to cross over from the gate, especially considering there isn't that much speed inside of him. And I think if he gets there, he's going to be in a nice stalking position, sitting right off the Tiz Slam. His 3 races over the turf at Woodbine have been his 3 best races. I think he's at a minimum a serious player in the exotics, but 9-1, I might put some win place money on that horse if you've got some time.
I will say that is the Matt Carothers. I'm very intrigued by this horse.
Well, whenever Matt is on something that I like a little bit, there's like a good history there. Like,
yes, there is.
I haven't always capitalized on those, but I know so many times I've like been celebrating a win with a horse that, at a decent price. And you've reached out to me and you said, hey, Matt really liked that horse. You know that, right?
Right. Well,
right,
let's get a good. Oh,
yeah, I was going to say we get the audio going for this.
Racing in the Singspiel Stakes and away nicely in the inside. Sir Sahib away also with the leaders Standard Deviation and Tiz Slam, who quickly takes over. And
Jungle Fighter, not exactly where I'd hoped he'd be here. 4 wide
gone to 4th
into this
on
turn.
The inside, Sir Sahib, and off the track, Jungle Fighter caught a bit wide.
Tiz Slam is though
right
where
we were. Yeah.
Then came Woodbridge and Say the Word with cushion up front. Tiz Slam leads the way as they go inside the mile by 2.5 to Skywire. The inside Standard Deviation.
Doesn't look like they're going to let him steal it,
up
though.
on the outside has gone to 2nd.
Fairly slow so far. Oh, there's Jungle Fighter now.
5th spot over on the outside. Nakamura has improved
Wish
as
that
well.
move would have came a little earlier.
Again, a length and a half behind them from Sir Sahib the Rail. Woodbridge is back 2nd last, and the early trailers Say the Word a length away last. About 6 lengths covers them, and Tiz Slam in front. It leads the way by a length to Jungle Fighter. 3rd Standard Deviation against the hedge, and Skywire.
Going slow enough, 50 flat.
Right
now tick down a little bit, 49-4.
Sahib, the center count again. Trying to go forward is a bit rank, and over on the outside, Woodbridge, and last of all up the rail, Say the Word as they start the run off the turn, and it's Tiz Slam. The defending
there's definitely no
champion in front
excuse
as
for
they go to
Standard
the half mile.
Deviation.
The Singspiel by a length and a half. Jungle Fighter. Nakamura sails up on the outside. Then Standard Deviation. Skywise drop back. Passed by Woodbridge. Sir Sahib the Rail. Count again. 2nd last. Commencing a run. And last, Say the Word. They go inside the 3/8.
Nakamura doesn't look too bad.
Nakamura, who's gone up very well. In the center, Jungle Fighter. Running home is Count again deep on the track with Woodbridge.
Tiz Slam's got a little something left.
They come down the lane. Nakamura's gone to the front. Count again is thundering down the outside. Tiz Slam the
How about this? Price on the outside.
Count again in the lead. Ducks about a little bit. Say the Word, the stablemate running on. Count again has the advantage as they come inside the final 16th in the Singspiel. Say the Word in 2nd. And Count again holding them all at bay. Count again wins. Sir Sahib has got up to run 2nd. Say the Word 3rd. Behind them, Nakamura, Woodbridge.
Well, I'll say this. I played a saver ticket with Count again.
You did.
On the morning line.
I'll give credit where credit is due. Gosh, who was it? Somebody on the In the Money podcast. I think the guy's name's Drew. I can't think for sure, but this is basically he kind of predicted that this horse would be closing and was live. So congrats. I wish I could find who it was so I can give him a good shout out, but don't see it here.
Yeah, no, there was actually, this was one of these horses who was steadily improving. In his last race, they went, look, this is just sort of purely like an educational moment, a teaching moment where we can all look at a race and say, what happened there? How come this horse won at 9-1? Like, how did this horse go up at 9-1? Why was he 20-1 in the morning line? And if you're somebody who follows racing closely, you're a handicapper, this is going to sound pedestrian and very basic. But if you're somebody who's kind of just learning a little bit and you want to understand how pace works and how fractions work, in his last start, this horse right here, the 8, Count Again, was way, way, way off the pace. He was in the back of the field, just like he was here. Now, he was a little closer earlier, but he pretty much settles well off the pace. Horses like that, in order to do their best, need to have some pace to run into. Ideally, in that last race, they did a half mile in 51 and 3. They did 3/4 of a mile in 1:14 and 4. Yeah. And the horses up front were going very slow. And they were I believe the pace setter was uncontested, was entirely uncontested, which is also a benefit to the horse up front. In this particular race, even though Tiz Slam was loose, you saw the fractions. They did that half mile in I want to say, was it 49 and change?
49 and 4.
49 and 4, and then 3/4, I want to say, was
113 and 3.
113 and 3. So they went up front. They went over a second faster up front, which makes a huge difference late in terms of the horses up front, their stamina and their ability to hold. And also it makes a huge difference for a horse like Count Again, who's been reserving his energy near the back of the field to make that run. And so I think that's a product of pace, and also from whatever insights from the person you mentioned, there's also form cycles. And this was this horse's second race off the layoff. Expected improvement for a really good trainer in Gail Cox, Samson Farm, the ownership team, obviously legendary ownership group up at Woodbine. And so there was a lot there to like. And the thing that I was going to mention about Count Again, if you watch that replay, he came from way off the pace and finished second by a neck in that race. Yeah. So if he had everything going against him in that race, and he was good enough to finish second by a neck to a couple of horses that actually were Sir Sahib finished third in that race. And then Woodbridge was a horse who was much closer to the pace who won the race. Then it makes sense in a situation like this with a better pace setup that Count Again would be very
close successfully this time. And it's Drew Coatney.
What's that?
Drew Coatney.
Oh, Drew Coatney. Okay. Shout out to Drew. No, very good call. Absolutely, very good call. 9-1 off a 20-1 morning line. So very good. Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely, and like you said, I mean, just basically sum it up. If you have a horse that can close into a slow pace to get within a neck of victory, when he gets an honest one, there you go.
So a couple of things we have to look forward to. Tomorrow, you already teased a little bit. There are two big Breeders' Cup win-and-you're-in races.
That's right.
There's also a very big one this afternoon coming up 2 races from now. And we will just show you what's at stake in the Rico Woodbine Mile. Ren, you want to read all that off? There's a lot that you get if you win this race.
You get automatic entry into the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile presented by PDJF, the Permanently Disabled Jockeys Fund, which is tremendously important. And of course, the Breeders' Cup, that slate of races is on November 7th. Breeders' Cup kicking off November 6th with Future Stars Friday. You get $60,000 in entry fees paid by Breeders' Cup. $10,000 paid to the award nominator of an award to the nominator of the horse, and you get $10,000 worth of travel allowance for horses stabled outside of Kentucky. So, winning you're in, birth into the Breeders' Cup, and expenses paid. It's pretty nice.
It's really nice. And there's a special surprise we have for everyone. The superstar and the feature attraction in the Rico Woodbine Mile today is War of Will, a personal favorite of Ren's. And Ren, you've been able to bring in and secure an awesome guest who we're expecting to be joining.
Yes, that's right. He wanted to make sure he didn't smell for the stream.
You're not going to give it away. It'll be a surprise.
No. It's got to be a surprise just because he's that awesome and he deserves to be like a ta-da.
All right. So War of Will fans, hang tight. We've got a surprise coming for you. We've also got another race coming up at Woodbine in about 25 minutes. It is not a stakes race. It's an allowance race, but it's a good, fun, competitive field, and we could dig into it in just a little bit. But we will wait for our guest to come through first. If he doesn't come through in the next few minutes, we may pull the race up. But for now,
I'll just text him. I'll say, we are ready when you are.
Also want to mention there is an inquiry. There is an inquiry.
There was a little bit of a bump in the stretch there, but I don't think it's anything significant enough for a change in finish.
Get the screen back up. Hold on. All right, we'll see if there's a replay. If they show us anything, we'll watch this together. So a little drama here in the Sing Spiel. I noticed that the race hadn't gone official. I was wondering what's going on. So, all right, we'll see.
Here we go. Let's take a look. He didn't make contact. It doesn't look like he made contact. It looks, let's see for sure. I'm gonna watch again once they back it up. Okay, well, he's coming over into the path, but I don't know.
A little something.
It's a little something. Okay, so I'm just trying now to envision a couple paths, lines coming out of the horse to basically comes out over about 2 paths. Does this cost the horse a placing? Is the question.
Wow. Was that the 2 that he knocked in? Who did he knock into? Was it the 9? Did Nakamura?
Every time I try to see, I believe it is Nakamura.
Let's see if we could full screen.
Does he have blinkers on, Nakamura? Let me see.
There looked to be some action there. We'll let our special guest weigh in and let us know if he thinks.
I've just seen this, so I'm not really. I have to see it a few times.
Yeah. Don't put me on the spot already.
I'm telling you now, Dan. You put me under pressure straight away.
That's right. We want your opinion. Okay, special guest here, David Carroll, an amazing trainer himself, who is also the assistant trainer to Mark Casse.
Ren, you can keep talking. That was good.
And you're a rock star. I was telling Dan. I was like, in addition to just all these great horses you have coming through, that you have through your own barn and that you have with the Casse barn, you worked with Easy Goer.
Now you're telling me my age.
No, come on. Then that makes me sound like, no, I'm huge. Obviously, everyone knows if they've tuned in any of these broadcasts, I'm a huge Easy Goer fan. And so that already there, you're a legend.
No, it was, listen, I've been privileged to be around great horses over a long period of time, to have worked for great people and owners, Ren, and it's very humbling. And, and now we're working with Warwell and other good horses. So it's been a great life.
Well, how's he do? You have a very deep connection to Warwell. Can you tell us about how that basically blossomed over the course of him coming to the barn? I know your wife Kim rides him in the morning.
Yes.
Just tell us all about it.
Well, he came over with a reputation from the kind of sale with Justin Casse bought him, and he was third. I remember Mark telling me that he wouldn't get beat his first start, so obviously we were watched with interest. He was third, and then he came back and ran second in the summer stake. Then he came down to Churchill in the fall, and that's where our relationship started. And obviously his pedigree and just being around him on a day-to-day basis, he's an unbelievable horse to be around, and breaking his maiden on the dirt and then campaigning to the Louisiana Lecomte Risen Star and then the Louisiana Derby, which didn't work out. But it was just working with a horse of that caliber, that personality. You just get awfully close to them, and they're different animals altogether. And it was, after Louisiana, then the Derby, we went through all of that, and he's just taken us on an unbelievable ride. He kind of lost his way after the Belmont a little bit, and that's why this year with the Maker's Mark Mile, it's probably one of the most emotional wins of my career, whether I trained or been with Mark, just because of what we wanted. It wasn't for us; it was for the horse. And it's just to let people know he's still Warwell. He's an unbelievable horse. Win or lose, we love him to death. And the fact that he's going to end up in Claiborne at the end of his racing career just is the cherry on top. I mean, how could you ask for better?
Yeah, I mean, about talent. My gosh, you trained a coma. you know about not only talent on the track, about the depth of pedigree that people really get excited about, especially with stud prospects. And I was talking to Dan on yesterday's preview show about the fact that Warwell has one of the best pedigrees you can find in any book.
Oh, he most certainly does. He's going to be a great outcross to mares. He's going to appeal to breeders. The fact that he's in Claiborne's hands, who limited their book. Some farms breed a tremendous amount of mares, but the fact that Claiborne will manage his book, it'll be limited, whether it's 140 mares. It's going to give him every opportunity to be as good as he possibly can be. And we're hoping with that pedigree, not only to American breeders, but to European breeders. And tremendous. He's just a beautiful animal, Ren, as you know.
Yeah,
and I think apart from Matt and Ava, he's your third love. And maybe after me too. But so I know how special he is to you, and that's how he is to us, because we get to see him every day, we get to work with him every day, and it's certainly something we don't take lightly, and it's just been a privilege.
Well, it's just what you said. The horse. Sorry, Dan, if you wanted to say something. The horse is a total package. I mean, he's got talent. He has looks. I mean, you're a dual Grade 1 winner. In surface, I mean, you've won the Triple Crown race in the Preakness on dirt. You've won the Maker's Mark Mile on turf. You're poised to take down another Grade 1. Not only that, then again, going to the pedigree, it does make total sense to go to Claiborne. Being a son of Warfront, I always love when you see a premier son join the father there at the farm. And now, oh my God. Yes, right there.
That's Beauty and the Beast right there.
I'm the beast in this equation. But so not only that, but you're out of a Sadler's Wells mare. Your dam is a 3/4 sister to Spinning World, who won the 97 Breeders' Cup Mile after running second to DeHaas in 96. And the pedigree just, continues to be deep, deep, deep. And you have some dirt horses in there too. So it's a very versatile one. And
it most certainly is.
It's very exciting. So sorry, go ahead.
And the fact that I remember when he came down to me, before he ran at Churchill, because he ran in the Bourbon, and I think Drayden Van Dyke ran him there, and we didn't think he would get beat, but he was beaten that day, and so we're like, now's the time to try the dirt. I remember, so a couple of weeks after that, I was he was getting ready to breeze, and Eddie Kane, who's manages Calumet, and Jack Sisterson, they were walking down the steps, and I was feeling a little bit cocky, and and I said, you guys need to stick around a few more minutes. I'm going to breeze a horse here, and I want to see you breeze because I think he's awfully special. And every time they see me, they said they never forget it, because that was Warren Will.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he would just when he'd breeze, it's just incredible, and it still is to this day for him to breeze. And it was just pretty cool, because a lot of times horses will fool you, but the fact that he's doing it on the dirt and then come back to do it on the turf, and look at the Arcus of unbelievable breeders, and that's why we're excited for him. And listen, whatever happens today happens, and we're excited, we're nervous, but it's amazing when you think about only 3 horses in the history has won a classic and a Grade 1 on the dirt, on the turf.
Secretary being one of them.
Yes. Who's the other one, Dan? Come on.
Oh, I was just going to show you my Secretariat shirt, but I've got that much going for me.
No, but California was the second one.
California Pro.
There you go. Okay.
And
Hollywood Derby.
Yes, and then Warren Will. So that's pretty elite company, and it's pretty cool. Obviously, we hope we obviously want to see him take care of business today, and then onto the Breeders' Cup, and then a well-deserved retirement, and on to see some beautiful ladies.
What is it like for you having the horse there, stabled at Keeneland with you, but not going along for the ride to Woodbine?
Yeah. When I put him on the van, the first thing I made sure was that the van was going to leave there ASAP. So we weren't going to leave him up there too long. But we got a great team up there. I didn't travel for the Preakness, so we've just got a great team. Yeah, I wish I was there, obviously, and but we're excited. We can't wait for the race, and really at this stage, we just want to see him come back, run his race, but more importantly, come back good and healthy. He doesn't owe us anything, So we'll. Oh. But having said that, we'd like to see him win too. But it's a very interesting race. March to the Arch, who I sent up there, a week before his last race, and he's a nice horse in his day. Mm-hmm. So it's certainly a competitive race. Not seeing a whole lot of speed. Dan Ren, maybe out the size, he'll show a little bit, and Roger Raffield's 3-year-old is 2 for 2. Mm-hmm. It's hard to say how good he is, or so he broke his maiden impressively. So you just don't know. In these races, you never take for granted. But having said that, he is trained as good as I've ever seen him train now, and hopefully he'll showcase that training today. We're so happy with him.
David, question. You mentioned that the Maker's Mark was a pretty sort of emotional victory. It was a big victory, obviously. So two-part question. One, I just wanted you to expand on that a little bit, why that win meant so much, of all his big wins, including, the Preakness and all that. And then also the second part of the question is, what do you make about the final eighth of a mile there? It looked like, for a good chunk of the stretch that he might finish third and maybe at best second. But it looked like for a while there that he wasn't gaining on Parlor and Raging Bull. And then in a moment, it all changed. Do you think those horses came back to him a little bit, or is it really a matter of, look, only his second, at least since this his only, second start on the turf now, the Shoemaker Mile obviously being the first before that. What do you make of the way he finished that? Was it just him sort of figuring things out and closing and finding the wire, or was it the horses coming back to him just a touch?
Yeah, it's a good question, Dan. I thought turning for home, it was, he was going to go on with it. He was having the battle to get past Parlor. And an interesting thing about Parlor is he was the last yearling I bought as a trainer. And,
oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, and when I took the job with Mark, Mr. Anderson, who I trained for a long time, and he asked me to. I wasn't comfortable taking other horses because I didn't really know how it all worked. So he asked me to recommend a trainer, and the trainer was Eddie Keneally. So then he got claimed. So that horse, he's I've got an emotional attachment to him, but obviously rooting for War Will. Tyler came back and said he was having a really tough time getting by Parlor. He thought he was going to get by him, but Mike Maker on the turf, his horses run extraordinarily hard. What he thought won the race for him was Raging Bull coming on his outside, and when he came on his outside, he surged.
Made it dig in.
That got him by. So yeah, it was kind of it was just we were going to win, but the emotional part came from him for us to say, hey, he's back. You forgot about him. He's just a great horse, and it just meant everything to the whole team, especially with everything going on this year. It's been a very, very challenging year, and we just it was one of those. It just meant so much to me. It really, really did, and it's one of those races I won't forget. And everybody that's been associated with this horse was just. Sometimes you get attached. It's great to win, but this horse meant everything. It meant everything to us, and especially to me.
Well, I was telling Dan, it's definitely a family affair. In the Carroll household, horse racing, Kim rides in the morning, your daughter's an equestrian, your son Declan rides.
Declan breeds them, so yeah. I'll tell you a funny story too. And Dan, I'm not sure if you're familiar with his string halt. Ren is obviously, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I get a call from Moret Farrell, and Moret Farrell is very, very successful bloodstock agent. Works very closely with Gay Waterhouse. So anyone that sees War Will walk, it's kind of unsightly, but it's never bothered him. So about 2 weeks ago, his half sister in Australia won her barrier trial impressively, right? So they're all excited. And a couple of days after winning the barrier trial, she starts string halt, which she never showed any signs. Yeah. So they're all panicking now. They're going to retire her. They couldn't run her like that. So Gay put a call into Moret and says, can you get a hold of the who works? She doesn't. I've met her before, but she doesn't know me. But try to find out about War Will. And we just told her if she started the string halt, go ahead and run her, because it certainly won't stop her. Because and having said that, she has a string halt, but she moved well. She's obviously got talent. So I need to get her name, because it'll be fun to follow her. And but they were going to retire her. We'd have retired War Will a long time ago. That was the case.
Yeah, right. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? By the way, did I see photos of you riding Enforceable?
Oh yeah, every day. That's why he got beaten in the Derby, Ren.
How's he doing? How did he come out of the race, and what's next for him?
That's a good question. He came out of the race very well. Listen, he laid a bit closer to the pace than we anticipated, but he broke better than he broke the best he's ever has. He ran his race, just not good enough. Ren or Dan, on the day, that's just, he ran his race, he just wasn't good enough. He's a very cool horse.
Yeah.
No plans, no immediate plans. Personally, like to see him on the turf at one time. Why not? But that was authentic, and and 'tis the law. They were 1-2 all the way around, and they certainly weren't going to be passed. And so he ran his race. It was a lot of fun. We missed you guys there. Missed the crowd. Not near. It was the Derby, but it wasn't the Derby. With the with the protests going on too, it just took a lot of the fun and buzz out of it. But we can't, hopefully we'll have a horse good enough to run it next year. If not, though, we look forward to seeing everybody get back to the racetrack. And I think everybody, we just want to see everybody healthy and happy and get back to the racetrack. We miss everybody.
Oh, well, what about Got Stormy? She just put in a kick butt performance.
She was awesome, absolutely awesome. She ran a good race at Saratoga. That was her best race for a while. We were, Mark and Mr. Barber were anxious to shorten her back up. They felt like she can handle soft turf, but not going a mile. So they want to try her sprinting. So she shipped in, looked terrific from Saratoga. She came in she's filled out, matured, strong, trained that week beautifully. Shipped down, then we got the rain. That's why she's called Got Stormy. And
she makes it rain.
Yeah, and
make it rain, baby.
I walked the track, and I'm like, oh my God! I said the track was kind of a little beat up, and I'm like, oh my God, no! Everybody thought we'd scratch for sure. And Chris Block, he said, surely to God you're not going to run around that turf course. I said, are you running your horse? He says, well, hell yeah. And he finished second. So she couldn't have been any more impressive. She broke sharp. She could have easily had the lead. Tyler owed her a lot of confidence, never had to use the whip. She came out of the race great. And now the game plan is the Buffalo Trace and all going good, the Breeders' Cup Sprint.
Awesome.
Yeah,
okay, taking on boys again.
Yeah, she's beaten them before.
Yeah.
She's very, very talented. It's something a little bit different. She's a Grade 1 winner, so she's nothing to prove. But she's touch wood. She's a very, very sound filly. Great mind, and she's a lot stronger than she was last year.
I'm sorry, Dan. Just one other quick question.
Dan, I'm sure you've noticed by now, Ren has a lot of questions.
I would have gotten up to get another drink had I known.
Tyler, but that's part of the question. We're talking about these weird times because of COVID and everything. Tyler's been on War Wheel for nearly every start of his career. How hard is it for him to not be able to ride him today?
Yeah, he's. We talked about it actually a couple of times, and it's really hard on him. Just because of the attachment, what the horse means to him, winning his first classic, getting him in the Derby. He understands the horse. He knows the horse extremely well. And that's look. Raphael is riding extremely well. To me, he's probably riding the best of any jockey up there. So he's more than capable, and we're hoping third time's the charm for Warwill to win at Woodbine. He hasn't won there yet, so hopefully today's the day.
He's come close.
Yes, But no, listen, it's we're very excited. I'm starting to get a bit nervous now, but I just want to see him run his race. And most important, I'll be happy when I see him get off the van back to us at Churchill.
How funny is David, by the way, Dan? Because I said to him, you could come on the show if you want to watch the race with us. That would be cool too. He's like,
too stressful, right?
Well, what did you tell me?
My language is not the best. Yeah, I go and when I'm watching Declan ride Adder, it's my wife is like, the whole neighborhood can hear you, So, but it's it's I love the game. I love the horses. If you don't get emotionally attached, then then why even do it? It's just it's the greatest game, and we just want to see everybody get back out and enjoy, get the crowds back into it. And there's been so much negativity. There's so much more important things outside our game with the COVID and suffering and, and whatever, and it's an election year. So it's a lot of things going on there. And the only thing that keeps us normal is horse racing and the love of horses and the love of people that work with horses. And so, we just want to get this. We want to get back to what we get everybody out here and enjoy it. And I think one thing I've learned personally from this year is that a lot of times we take things for granted, right? Whether it's going racing or just going to the restaurant. And, this year, after this year, I think we're going to be hopefully better people for it and appreciate one another, and most importantly, be kind to one another.
Oh,
Absolutely.
gosh. Amen to that. I hope you're right.
Now, quick question for you, Ren. How is Ava doing?
Ava's great. Ava's great. Matt Carothers is currently babysitting her. She's been awesome, though.
Oh, my God. So,
do you like a horse?
Yeah.
I'm just going to mention for our viewers who are wanting to watch the 8th race at Woodbine, horses are loading into the gate right now. Ren, just a quick pick here. I had one last question for David before we let him go, but just your quick thoughts here on race 8. Do you have a selection here you like?
Well, obviously I thought Trading Bay looks tough, but I thought Let's Have Fun could be an interesting upset. But the horses
we're in agreement
from 12-1 to 6-1.
Hey, no, we're in agreement. Like, Let's Have Fun. I like Let's Have Fun. That's the 9 horse. I thought the 2, Mrs. Dell, also had a chance, but there's a good amount of speed in here. We'll see if she gets mixed up in it. If she can sit off of it a little bit, I think she'll be good. The 6, Dakota, is one who I thought also on her best day, if she's able to rate off and get a decent enough trip without losing too much ground, could be a player here. So we will have this race on here for you to watch. David, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. 5:39 Eastern time. It's race 9 at Woodbine. Is the Rico Woodbine Mile. For people watching, we've included a link for where you can watch all racing coverage this weekend. So check that out. We did a lot of talking about War of Will. You mentioned March to the Arch. I feel like the horse deserves a little bit more of a mention, winning the King Edward Stakes.
I dominated it.
And a horse who really seems to like Woodbine. And Ren and I were talking yesterday, and I said, every time I see him at Woodbine, I'm like, this is the perfect course for this horse. I mean, seems like it takes him a little while to get going, and he's got all the space he needs in the world to get cranked up. Would you say that that's about right with that one?
Oh, absolutely. He kind of lost his way just a little bit there during the summer. His last 2 works before the King Edward, I said to Mark, I said, this horse has really he's really turned around. And, he went up there, he won, and I think he's going to build on that from all accounts. He's training very, very well, and he certainly got it. And his form ties in with some of the other horses in there, but he's got a big shot as well. And listen, if War of Will can't win, we want to win the race. I don't want to play favourites for the owners, but I will be rooting for one horse a little bit more than the other. He's got a big chance, and he's a lovely horse. Another horse that's lovely to be around. Great owners, Live Oak and Charlotte Webber, who are very loyal to us, and we're lucky to have horses of this caliber.
Absolutely,
we deserve it.
Yeah, he's a very fun horse. For the viewers watching, important to note, Silver Dahlia, who just won this 8th race, the 7 horse, ridden by Rafael Hernandez. That's a third winner on the day for Rafael Hernandez. So I have
going into confident,
right?
I
think he rode maybe 4 or 5 the other day, but he's obviously riding live horses, but he's riding with a lot of confidence, and that's what you want. You want him just to go out and ride a horse with confidence. He's a pretty War of Will is a pretty straightforward horse to ride. I love the post, and you can just see how things develop. But look at we're looking forward to the race, and we have Olympic runner in there too, and he's got to step his game up a little bit, but. To have 3 horses of that, we have 3 horses good enough to run in the race. So that's how, Mark does an unbelievable job of getting these horses.
Well, we're excited for you, and I am unabashedly am rooting for you. So,
Ren, we appreciate all the support, and I mean, like it's this is what it's all about. Now, what about the Breeders' Cup? Are you guys not been allowed to come to the Breeders' Cup, or?
Well, I'm pretty sure I am.
Okay. Well, well, you can go anywhere you want.
That's right. Nobody
You're right
knows
there.
but
So
you.
Who's going to stop you, right?
She's in the right spot for
This
it.
is my credential.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
When they ask you for your ID, you say you're looking at it, right?
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, not for me this year, but I've been lucky enough to go many times, and as you said, hopefully when things sort of stabilize a little bit, next year we'll be back at it at full force, hopefully. So
and not to make it sound like I have I'd be working.
Yeah,
working.
I know that, Ren.
Sure.
But I just personally like to thank you guys for everything you do for the
Thank
game.
you.
And it brings so much interest to the game, and we need all the promotion we can get, and you guys do an unbelievable job, and I really appreciate you having me on.
Well, anytime.
Thank you, David. We appreciate you.
Ren,
All right.
take care. Love
Be
to
well.
Madaneva.
Love to Kim.
Thank you.
See you
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Isn't he awesome? He's awesome.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Have you ever talked to David at length before?
I have not. No, he was an absolute joy to speak to, and I want to say we have somebody in the in the green room right now who's also an absolute joy to speak to, and who we are excited to have on today. Dan Illman from the Daily Racing Form. Dan, how you doing?
Dan Squared.
Doing great. Nice to talk to you guys. Dan, Ren, I'm really excited to be on the show. What a great race the Rico Woodbine Mile is. So many storylines. David Carroll, such a pleasure to listen to.
I know.
Yeah, it seemed like if it was anybody else, you might be upset that we kept you waiting for this long. But David Carroll, it's David Carroll.
No, listen, he's a big wheel in this business. I know my role.
Dan Illman again, Daily Racing Form, joining us. Really excited to reconnect with you. It's been a couple of years. There was a time a couple of years back where I was running into you on your show. I would say once every couple of weeks it seemed like I'd pop in, and then I hadn't seen you since then. You're doing these days. It looks like you're pretty closely. The Mid Atlantic region is your beat. Am I right?
Yeah, I'm currently the DRF analyst for the Maryland Jockey Club racetracks. Laurel just concluded their summer fall meet about 2 minutes ago. Jenny Highway, $18 in the finale.
Oh, nice.
Charlie Marquez, by the way, really impressive apprentice rider, moving his tack to New York next week. Angel Cordero Jr. is going to be his agent. Keep an eye on this Charlie Marquez, a very, very impressive apprentice. So I'm going to be covering the Pimlico meet coming up. Obviously, an exciting time for Maryland racing with the Preakness coming up and Authentic likely there for Bob Baffert. And we're doing our DRF videos, video.drf.com and the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel. I'm producing and I'm in all the stakes previews and race of the days every week. So they keep me busy.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the viewers on this stream. It's a lot of comments like this one. Picks, they're ready for it. They want us to dive in. So Dan, I'm going to let you set this race up for us.
Yeah.
We've touched on it in a couple of different ways. Obviously, we had David Carroll on, spoke about all the Cassie runners in this race. But how do you see this race unfolding? He also kind of indicated that he thought the pace was, the pace scenario was a little murky here. Admiralty Pier obviously seems like one who's going to go. But how do you see the race setting up, and who do you think that benefits?
I think Admiralty Pier is going to go to the lead. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? He ran so well last time out on the lead in the King Eddie. One of the great attributes about War of Will is not only his iron will and his will to win, but his tactical speed. You can place War of Will anywhere within the context of a race shape. I would expect War of Will to take advantage of this outside post, to break running, and to attach himself off the hip of Admiralty Pier. He is going to be in prime contention turning into the stretch, and he's simply the horse to beat. A horse like March to the Arch, who's pace dependent, well, it's going to depend on how fast they're going. Is War of Will going to push Admiralty Pier and they go 45 to the half? Now, all of a sudden, this race opens up to a closer. In my opinion, the key to this race from a pace and from a true race standpoint is the X factor, the great unknown, the 3-year-old Cheryl Spite. Where is Cheryl Spite going to be in the early portion of this race? I think he's going to be relatively close in the second flight. He's shown nothing but talent and natural ability in his 2 starts. What's going to happen when a really good horse looks him in the eye? Let Price be your guide. But to me, he's the most interesting horse in this race.
Ren, what do you make of that? And do you think? I mean, obviously, I know you're extremely biased. You're Mrs. War of Will.
Yeah.
But if you had to look outside, I mean, look, the way Dan set it up certainly seems like a best case scenario, and I can't imagine War of Will being too far behind. No. It sounds like Dan's feeling is that War of Will is the horse to beat here. Do you see any scenario, Ren? Just try to think, in the most painful terms possible, that War of Will doesn't win this race.
Stop that. No. Well, what I kind of envision is, I'm going to stick with what I was telling you yesterday, and I obviously think Admiralty Pierre is going to go, try to get the lead. I think we're going to see speed from Cheryl Spite as well. If you look at that first race, we can see he can rattle off the fractions to go with. I think those two, I'm almost thinking that Cheryl Spite may assert himself ultimately over Admiralty Pierre, but then eventually be overtaken by a close sitting War of Will. And I think value proposition is not going to be far behind. And to me, it's really, in my opinion, the horse that could potentially throw in the upset, which is weird saying upset when you're talking about Chad Brown on turf, obviously. But the horse is coming out of that social paranoia race. Got Stormy was in that race. She was fourth. We saw what she just came back to do, what she recently did rather, because she was next second in the 4-star day, got 103 Beyer doing that. Then she got a 101 just recently, scoring by 3 1/4 lengths there in the ladies sprint at Kentucky Downs. And then two back, this runner-up Cross Borders at the pace next out in the Grade 1 Manhattan. He was fifth in the a length off Instilled Regard. Got a 100 Beyer, then he won the Lubash Stakes. He was followed up by a next second finish to Sadler's Joy in the Bowling Green, where he got a 100 Beyer again, and then he was second in the Grade 1 Sword Dancer. So this is a horse that's been facing a lot of classy types, and I really think that he's a horse that is dangerous here. I just am hoping that War of Will, his more tried and true and tested, will prevail ultimately and hold him off. So in my opinion, it's going to look like a trifecta of War, Will, value proposition, Cheryl Spite.
And Ren, I think you make a very good point about value proposition. It just seems like Chad's been pointing him to this race ever since the poker last time out. And something to consider with value proposition, he's a very, very difficult horse to ride. You watch him in the poker last time out, he's splitting horses in the stretch, and he kind of gets intimidated a little bit with this long stretch of the E.P. Taylor turf course. If Luis Contreras can get him to the outside and in the clear, I think that's where he's going to make a strong run. We're actually forgetting about Canada's reigning horse of the year, aren't we? Starship Jubilee, the mare taking on the boys.
Starship.
She actually has good early speed as well. It'll be really interesting to see where she is in the early portion of the race as well. Really fascinating. Yeah,
you can look at the live odds there. You've got the 8-horse War of Will. We've spoken about at length right now. 8-5. Your clear-cut favorite here. Interestingly, Cheryl Spite taking a good amount of money off the morning line, 8-1 down to 3-1. And the horse we've talked about a couple of times now, value proposition, 5-1, right about where that morning line was. Ren, I know you've got a DRF formulator fact about value proposition.
I do have a DRF formulator fact about value proposition. I've got to pull it back up right here. So here's your formulator fact. Over the past 11 months, trainer Chad Brown is 5 for 15 with older turf routers, returning from 61 to 120-day layoffs in graded stakes races.
That tells me that Chad Brown is really good on the turf.
Yeah.
I've heard he's okay.
Yeah, right. Chad Brown guy. But here's the other thing that we were talking about on yesterday's show, and as you brought up, Dan Illman, is the fact that this horse also may prefer, this nice, turf course here at Woodbine, and that the greenness that we've seen in the past, you've got to think, as you also were talking about, Chad Brown's pointed him to this. He's not going to ship without purpose. And so we've got to imagine that this horse's head is on straight for this event.
And he's also a very lightly raced horse. There's still a lot of upside potential. It's possible we've seen War of Will's best race, and War of Will's best race is going to win this race, but it's possible we haven't seen Value Proposition's best race just yet. The horse still has a ton of upside. And we've seen, I think, the course at Woodbine can play to a closer that often would be maybe stymied by a lack of pace or a trip where there's traffic or would have to go 4 or 5 or 6 wide, losing important ground. We've seen it with March to the Arch. He's 2 for 2 at Woodbine. In his last race, he was able to get a good trip saving ground, but he was able to maneuver his way through traffic with that long 2.5 furlong stretch. He really likes it at Woodbine. And I think value proposition is going to like it at Woodbine as well. But it is key, in my opinion, that he gets clear into the outside.
Yes, agreed with that. Although I don't want to, like I said, I want Warville to win. So it's like, I kind of like, oh, obviously, I lead with my heart before my pocket.
Yeah,
Well,
not
it's nice
not
to have
so much.
stars in this business.
I know.
It's nice to have stars to root for. And Warville right now, with the victory in the Woodbine Mile, in my opinion, probably rockets to the top of the heap in the older male turf division. I mean, we saw Zulu Alpha and United, 2 very good longer distance horses, get beaten in their last few races, get upset. If War of Will wins here, 2 Grade 1 wins in a row, the Rico Woodbine Mile, of course, a very important win, and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Mile. It puts him right on top of the heap.
Yeah, for sure. And because I'm the petty geek person. I was saying when we had David on, I love also seeing a horse live up to the pedigree credentials that he comes in with. Because in Will's case, obviously his damn 3/4 sister to Spinning World, who won the Breeders' Cup Mile in '97, that was following up in '96, where he was second to DeHaas. But also a horse that has pedigree credentials in here is Sherrill Spite. Being out of Perfect Sherrill, who won the 2011 Breeders' Cup Fillion Mare Turf, she a half-sister to a Woodbine Mile winner in Shakespeare.
No, this horse has a wonderful pedigree and so far has lived up to it in 2 starts. Just eye-catching performances. And we have to remember, the main goal for this horse was the Kentucky Derby. They wanted to ship down and run him in his 3rd lifetime start. He came up with a cough. He had to be withdrawn a week and a half before the race or so. And, maybe after this race, we might be saying, that's the best thing that ever happened for him, because I'm not sure taking on Authentic in his dirt debut going 1.25 miles was actually the best thing for Sherrill Spite. And Roger Hatfield knows a lot more about this than I do, but to run for $1 million outside of your own stall in a pandemic year where you're not getting any Europeans in the Woodbine Mile, this is a really nice spot for Sherrill Spite, but he is taking a lot of money on the tote right now.
Yeah.
Just had a comment up there. If anyone can get value proposition to finish first, seems to be a tough horse to ride, it's Luis Contreras, great jockey. So interesting insight there. If you watch the replays there, value proposition certainly does seem to have quite the personality and loses focus on occasion. Wanted to give you the live odds right there again. We talked about the action that Sherrill Spite's taking at 3-1. Just to go through the field, March to the Arch, 9-2, very fair price off the 5-2 morning line, coming off that King Edward Stakes we mentioned moments ago. Armistice Day, your clear-cut long shot here at 82-1, the 2 horse. Skipping over to Starship Jubilee, who Dan mentioned a few moments ago as well, 5-1 off the 4-1 morning line. Olympic Runner, 36-1. Look, 19-1 on Admiralty Pier, who for my money is going to be on the lead. I think you're going to, at a minimum, you're going to get some good bang for your buck. You're going
to die on that hill, aren't you?
I am. Look, his last 3 races, I mentioned this to you, Ren, on our show yesterday, all 98 buyers, 1 grade, 3 win, 2 second place finishes. The race last out, to me at least visually, was pretty incredible. A half in 46-1. 3/4 in 109-1. Most of that with company, still had that late kick, held off everyone except March for the Arch, who we know sat really the garden trip and who was able to save ground behind that hot pace. I don't see this pace developing as much as it did in the King Edward Stakes. And my only question is, does Admiralty Pier have one more in him like that? Can he do it again? Because that performance, as ready as he was for that race, I think had he shown up for this race with as much as he had in the tank there,
you're concerned he peaked.
Yeah, that would be my only concern. I don't know. What do you guys think? And do you think that that's not really a factor? The bottom line is there are 2 or 3 other horses in here who are just better.
I'm not going to argue with anyone taking a horse that's 19-1 that's going to be
Right.
on the lead, and a horse that's already beaten March to the Arch on the square and did so at Tampa Bay Downs a couple of races ago. Really, the key is, will they leave this horse alone? Will they not show him any respect for the first half mile? And if that's the case, there's a big chance that he could sprint away in the form he's in. I just wonder if that's going to be the case. Ren mentioned that probably Cheryl Spite's going to show some speed. I would expect War of Will to be relatively close to this pace. I'm just not sure if he's going to be able to shake loose in here. But again, this is a great price on a horse that's been pretty much a model of consistency for his last 6 or 7 races and is trained by just an underrated trainer. I mean, just Barb Mitchell does a very, very good job.
Yeah.
We have our next guest in the guest room. Dan, we invite you on to stay if you want to stay. If you want to head out and watch the race, we understand that too.
I'm
if you
staying.
want, yeah, all right, he's staying. So we'll bring in our next guest. We'll be a party of 4 to watch the Rico Woodbine Mile. It's our good friend, Bram Weinstein. There you are. Now we see you.
Yeah.
We can move back into, you see March to the Arch there. We can move back into the 4 box here for a few moments as we welcome in Bram. Bram, how you doing?
What's up? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
You've been dropping prices on these shows, so who's your price today? Because I'm guessing you're not going to settle on 8 to 5.
I like Olympic Runner. That's a big.
I knew you were going to do something. I knew it.
Big fat number. Oh, big! It's getting bigger by the moment too. It's what I love about it.
Oh,
Cassie
just
goes
go for
1-2
Armistice.
with
This is a
War of Will and
family-friendly
Olympic
show.
Runner.
Just go for Armistice Day at this point, man. 80 to
No,
1.
thank
Why
you.
stop at 36
No,
to 1?
thank you. I don't want someone who doesn't have a chance, Dan. Okay, I don't just look at the odds and go, "Oh, it takes." I don't want someone who doesn't have a chance. Olympic Runner's good closer here. Near misses last 2. Jockey won the Queen's Plate a week ago. Holla! I like what I got down there, and I love War of Will today. I think War of Will feels like the right side here, but obviously, favorite. But no, Olympic Runner on my ticket, certainly in exotics for sure, and especially where's he got now? 35 to 1, something like that.
37.
Yep.
I don't know why. I don't know why. So I'll take it. Give it to me.
What do you think of this horse here, Cheryl Spite? We've been talking about this horse. 8 to 1 on the morning line, is now 3 to 1, taking a ton of action. We talked a few weeks ago. This horse, they were talking about sending to the Derby, and now is back here in the Woodbine Mile. What do you think?
Raced twice, right? Raced twice. I don't know. What is this? Justify? I mean, we're
no, 3-year-old. And a 3-year-old taking on older. Yeah.
But here's what I want. I need Cassie to tell me. Give me the wink. Is it March to the Arch or War of Will? Give me the wink. Let me know which way he's going today. Then I'll know. I like Olympic Runner because of the number. And at 3 to 1, no thank you on that one. I mean, that's a handicapping bet for me. I just 3 to 1 doesn't feel like the right play to me, but the public is telling me take him extremely seriously. If that's what the case is, fine. And, Hernandez rode him twice on the first 2, doesn't ride him. I don't blame him for going for what appears to be a better favorite, a better ride. But, jockey change, all that. I don't know. I just, for me, a bigger number there, I'd say sure. 3 to 1 makes me lean away from that. I love War of Will, so I'm leaning away there from him.
I think that's an excellent point that the folks at home, our good friends watching, need to understand that, yeah, he's a strong contender in this race, but that's just a light price to take on the tote. 3 to 1 on a horse with all of the question marks. Now, maybe he's a super horse, and I think he's a very good horse. I think he's going to run a big race in here, but 3 to 1 just seems like a really light price on a horse with all of the question marks attached.
I mean, it's one thing.
If I'm going to go that direction, I'm going to take War of Will or I'm going to take March to the Arch. I feel like I have a much better option with that. Obviously we know what War of Will did for years. So look, just 3 to 1 is just not the right price for me. So that's why I'll walk away from that one.
Let's talk a little bit more about this one. The mare, Starship Jubilee. I mean, she hasn't done much wrong. She's right about where she was in the morning line, 5 to 1. Has had incredible success over the turf course at Woodbine. I don't know. I feel like there's not as much excitement around her as there should be. And maybe it's just a mare taking on the boys, and the thought that War of Will is on his best day is probably going to be better. March to the Arch. I don't know. At 5 to 1 compared to 3 to 1 on Cheryl Spite, though, seems a little odd. Anybody?
Yeah, tell me about that. I don't want that one. What do you? Hey, come on, Dan.
I talk so much during another
come on, Dan.
segment that I'm trying to.
Dan, you're like trying to sell me on all of them, Dan. I mean, like,
I want you to tell me why you wouldn't take Starship Jubilee at 5-1.
37 lifetime races. So, like, obviously the vet of the field, you know, and I'm with you. Like, solid efforts constantly. Finished fourth in Diana last time around. So I'm going with probably a little too much class for her here. So will she be around the board? Sure. You know, like, yeah. But again, 5-1. No, thank you. Like, not to win. I mean, not to win for sure. Like, would she be in an exotic bet? Sure. And I'd be mad she hit the board because it's not a nice price. Like, I want Olympic runner or someone else to hit the board, you know, to make the payday. I love War of Will today. I mean, I really do. I love War of Will today. All these other ones that are like, ooh, maybe. No, thank you. All right, I'm out on that stuff.
Starship Jubilee's a great story. I mean, she was claimed for $16,000 back in 2017. She's gone on to make $1 million, and she's a horse for course. She really likes the EP Taylor turf, and she has tactical speed, but I think the point is well made. She is taking a big step up in class here, and her Diana was fine. I mean, that was a race with no pace, and she was in against Rushing Fall and Mean Mary, who are probably the two best filly and mare turf forces in the country right now. But this might be a different world as she cuts back, and she's kind of playing War of Will's game here at a mile, isn't she?
Yes.
You know, look, I know I sort of get the arguments against her, and I realize that she's, you know, this will be the toughest race she's ever been in. I mean, if you look at just strictly based on, you know, her taking on the boys in a grade 1, but she's also, you know, she's fought a lot of battles. I mean, she's won grade 1. She's, you know, that last race, the Diana, doesn't look good on paper, finishing 4th to 5th, but 4th to 5. But that was an oddly run race. I mean, it was a small field, you know, and just race dynamics, I don't think necessarily played to her favor. You know, the Boston Spa, I think, is more indicative of what she could do on her best day. And so, you know, we'll see. I think that
you bet on her, Dan. Then you bet on her.
No,
okay?
I'm betting I'm betting on Admiral
Quite a sell job you're doing. So why don't you put your money where your mouth is on her? Because I won't. All right, you're right. You know, in the end,
value proposition looks amazing right now. Unbelievable.
There's value proposition. This could be one of those Chads where, you know, he wins at 5-1 and we're like, what the heck were we thinking?
I agree with that.
But so does Will. Will looks phenomenal too. Okay. I'm happy to see if he looks, that's the first time I've seen him on the feed here. Oh my gosh. Okay. Look at this horse. Beautifully conformed. His coat looks phenomenal. He just looks every bit grade 1 class here.
I'm so jealous of this. Like, I come on the show, I don't get compliments like that. I mean, like,
you're grade 1 class. It doesn't even need to be. Like, you don't need that type of introduction because everyone already knows.
I'm gleaming today, Ren. I'm gleaming.
You are. Your coat looks fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you.
Out and fit.
Oh my gosh! But it has been really fun to watch this horse mature.
No, it's he's been, and just remember, he was a very good 2-year-old also.
Yes,
a lot of us forget that he has just been consistently good for as long as he's been running. I mean, he ran in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf as a maiden, and I thought he had a really tough trip in that race. Yeah. But once he got going and Mark Casse got him on the dirt as a 3-year-old, and he just started getting that confidence, you could always tell he was a big, good-looking, well-bred horse. And now he's transferred that form to the turf. And again, we've talked about it, and David Carroll talked about it before. I mean, how many horses have won grade 1 races on dirt and turf? I mean, that's a remarkable accomplishment. And
to make that even a slimmer field, how many horses have won one of the Triple Crown Classic races and a grade 1 on turf?
There you go.
But he looks phenomenal. But so does value proposition. I think Cheryl Spite is a very nice looking young horse. I mean, he's a younger horse, obviously, in this field going up against this group. Which, I mean, it's hard enough to be in a grade 1, let alone when you're 3 and you're only making your 3rd start. But I guess you do have to give some credence to the fact that, and we talked about this on yesterday's preview show, not only were they thinking about contesting the Kentucky Derby, but knowing that the horse they would be facing is Tiz the Law at that point when we thought Tiz Law was putting together this really historic type campaign. So, they obviously love him.
No, they obviously love him, and there's been buzz about him ever since his debut, and we're going to find out if he's worth the hype here. Again, from a gambling standpoint, I think the point very well made. 3-1 is very light considering all the questions. I'm expecting him to run very well.
Yes, he's working like it into this. And then a little fun factoid. I know we'll get into this more later, but so we talked about the fact with his pedigree that he's had a perfect Carroll. Well, in the Natalma Stakes, you have Lady Spitespear, also by Spitestown, and she's at a perfect Carroll's half-sister, who's a full sister to Shakespeare. So it's kind of fun to see that dynamic of these Spitestown babies out of the same female family, in this case out of half-sisters, both running in Win in Your Inns this weekend and having legitimate chances.
Little 6 degrees of separation there. But if you watch that filly's debut, very, very impressive. Kind of like in the manner of Cheryl Spite, showed good speed and just kept right on rolling along. Yeah. She's a major contender in that race tomorrow.
Oh, I completely agree. In fact, she might just get the lead and not look back. I mean, just a really dynamic type of victory in terms of just showing that she could take adversity but then go on with it because she was bumped out of the gate in there. But again, tremendous pedigree, and we're going to see Emma Jane Wilson aboard her in the Natalma.
And just a reminder to the viewers that stay tuned after the Rico Woodbine Mile. Ren will dive into full pedigree analysis on the two winning. Get your
It's not going to end the show, like why would he do that? We'll be going until 3 a.m. with Dan tonight, recapping the Woodbine Mile.
Well, no, I mean this is Ren's favorite part of the show. I'm not going to deprive her of an opportunity to talk pedigree with, 2-year-old winning your in races. This is this is it's not the Super Bowl, but it's these are the conference championships for Ren.
Oh, it's exciting.
Speaking of Dan, since we haven't had you on this show before, what do you make of what developed with in the Derby and how that race was run, and with Authentic and with 'Tis the Law, and how surprised were you, and what do you think the outlook is for the next 6 to 8 weeks or so?
I think, like everybody else, was surprised that Authentic got the trip after what they saw in the Haskell, where it looked like he was ready to lie down the last 16th of a mile, but I guess you can't throw Bob Baffert out in the Kentucky Derby ever. 'Tis the Law, no excuses. He got the great trip that he got in the Belmont. He got the same trip he got in the Travers. Manny Franco, I'm sure, at the 5/16 pole figured he was going to win. I think everyone watching at home figured that 'Tis the Law was going to win, and he just didn't get there. And is it perhaps a long season starting to take its toll? I just think he ran to a buzzsaw that day in Authentic, who just happened to be very, very sharp. I don't think 'Tis the Law lost anything in defeat. Authentic really is a nice horse, and we'll see what happens in the Preakness. We're going to have a very exciting next few weeks leading up to the Breeders' Cup, obviously. We've got the Preakness. We've got the huge day of racing at Belmont at Keeneland with the final major prep races. And I just hope we see 'Tis the Law one more time this year. I have a feeling it's going to be in the Breeders' Cup Classic and maybe not the Preakness. And what a Breeders' Cup Classic that's shaping up to be right now.
Undoubtedly. Oh my gosh! If all the big players make the day, it's going to be awesome. But yeah, I think the only horse that really didn't get, well, not the only horse, but the horse that we were all waiting to see, who definitely did not get to run his race, was Honor AP.
No, you're right about that. Honor AP, unfortunately, has been retired to stud. He's beaten Authentic in the Santa Anita Derby. But yeah, he really didn't run his race. I mean, I guess, there was a little bit of trouble there for Honor AP, and the pace just didn't come back for him. I think we'll always be left wondering what if.
Well, I believe it's on the Trackist that he ended up, if you accounted for that lost ground, he ran the fastest time, if you factored all of it in together. But the fact that what happened at this break, I wish he had been able, I'm not saying he necessarily would have won, but I think we would have seen him closing a little bit closer to what he ended up doing. I think it was pretty impressive that he he persevered as well as he did. I am looking forward to in the Preakness. I believe we're going to see Art Collector come into the equation.
He might very well be the key to this race, isn't he? Because he would have been one of the choices in the Kentucky Derby based on the form he showed in the Bluegrass, based on the form he showed in the Ellis Park Derby. Personally, I want to see how good he is. I want to see him challenge Authentic at a mile and 3/16 because he's red hot right now and flying under the radar. I need to see it again. It'll be interesting to see how they bet this race. I wonder if Authentic's going to be 3-5 and all of a sudden Art Collector's a playable price. I'm not sure how that's going to play out, but he's a good horse, Art Collector. I still need him to prove it to me on the big stage.
Well, that's the one thing that you can say. I think Authentic put in a really big performance in the Derby that might take some of the starch out of him going forward.
Ren, I think Robert Corbin might be trying to get under your skin here.
Oh, Robert. You hater.
Wrong. Dan,
Wrong.
Wrong. Robert's
He's
wrong.
driving me to drink. Robert was driving me to drink.
Dan predicted what happened in the Derby because Paco broke the code and pulled a sharp right turn out of the gate.
He didn't break his own code. He stuck to his exact code.
I was like, after first Dan said he was going to do it, then I saw him do it, and I'm like, how Mike Smith didn't try to knock him out in the paddock after that is I don't know, man. Because that was something. Nobody comes out of the gate and takes a right turn. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
The best part about it was that I actually got pushback from some people on Twitter who were like, "Oh no, like that was like purely, that was just the horse. That was the horse that took him to the right."
Yeah.
And I mean, and it was weird because the
highly trained horses that like never do that or never do that accidentally. Sure. Yeah. That's what that happened. Yep.
The people making that case were people whose opinions that like I really like value and who don't typically make those kinds of cases. Like they don't typically defend like, known dangerous riders. So it was surprising to see, but look, that's all in the past.
Dan on that one. Dan called it early and he did exactly what Dan said he was going to do. Exactly what he said he was going to do. He played bumper cars with the outside three horses. Exactly what he said he was going to do.
That's Paco. Dan, I could see you're dying to chime in on this.
I just would say the Kentucky Derby is kind of a race that's known for trouble, and trouble does happen. But you're right, Paco not only broke the code, he got out of his zip code there.
Yeah, he did. He did.
We'll put the screen back up for you here. 2 minutes until the Rico Woodbine Mile. We mentioned it earlier, but a lot at stake here in this Rico Woodbine Mile. Automatic entry.
Again? Are you going to pop it up?
I'm not going to pop it up. I'm just going to run through it. Automatic entry into the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile presented by the PDJF on November 7th. Entry fees paid by the Breeders' Cup, an award to the nominator, and then the travel allowance for horses stabled outside of Kentucky. All that comes in handy for any team who wins here. It'll be interesting to see what path some of these horses take coming out of this race. Obviously, value proposition is one right now at 5-1. I just keep looking back at, and I'm like, I don't know why this horse is 5-1. I mean,
crazy.
This seems to be one of those chads who you thought would get bet down to 2-1 or 5-2. Starship Jubilee. All right, I'm done making my case, but 6-1 is a very fair price if you like Starship Jubilee. Today's the day to get in at 6-1, I think. March to the Arch, another one, has done nothing wrong at Woodbine, has run arguably his two best career races over this turf course, 4-1 right now. If he gets another trip, if you think the pace is going to heat up, how do you not use March to the Arch? And if you don't think the pace is going to heat up, how do you not use Admiralty Pier at 16-1? Because
4-1 now on March to the Arch is a nice price.
It's not bad at all.
4-1 now, that's a nice price there. I'm looking for a hit here. Like I love War Will, and I'm doing an exacta box with Olympic Runner and the 6, whose name I can't pronounce.
Admiralty Pier.
Yeah. I'm going to get 44-1 or 16-1. One of them's coming in second, and I'm going to be laughing all the way to the bank. One of those two end up in second in this race.
I like it. Dan, how do you bet this race?
Well, I have to admit, I think Cheryl Spite is the horse that I picked to win on DRF. I can't bet him at 7-2. I think the way I'd play this race, I'm not way against War of Will, but I think I'd try to hook up the 3 and the 1 in some sort of exactas. I think the March to the Arch is a very good price at 7-2 right now. And I'd have War of Will in there if I decide to play trifectas. Maybe I'm going to try to beat the Chad horse. I'm going to try to beat Starship Jubilee. I think Cheryl Spite's going to run well. I just think 7-2. I can't bet that horse to win at that price, but maybe I can try to hook him up with March to the Arch.
Ren, how about you? What kind of last second bets you throwing in? Assuming you are, I know I am. So
Win bet on William.
Okay.
and then a try box the 7-8, King the 3, Cheryl Spite, and 3rd.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I did something similar to that bet. I didn't use Cheryl Spite, but I basically I use 7 and 8 with Admiralty Pier in the top 2 spots. And then I've got a few more in the back. And then I also just did an exacta, or various exactas, including an exacta box. So my main horses are 1, 6, and 7, where I removed War of Will just in case something unexpected happens. And then I feel silly with March to the Arch being sort of, a proven known commodity over this turf course, and I don't use them. So my primary tickets are with Admiralty Pier and Value Proposition and War of Will. I've got some backup exactas with March to the Arch, factoring in War of Will somehow not running his race today. I think Admiralty Pier is going to be out in the lead. We'll see how long he can hang for. I can't see him finishing off the board, certainly. And Value Proposition, I think, is going to be tough. We showed you that DRF formulator fact earlier in the show. Chad Brown with older horses and graded stakes race off a long layoff does pretty well with them. So, we'll see if that holds true here. I've basically removed Cheryl Spite and Starship Jubilee from my tickets, which hopefully I don't regret after all the talking I've done about her. So.
I'm just going to keep sitting here drinking, and it'll
What are you drinking today?
I would have always drink when I'm on this show because I'm a wimp. I'm drinking Prosecco.
Okay, that's good.
You're not drinking. Am I the only one?
I'm drinking Red Bull again.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
And I thought I was drinking come on, man.
Illman, what do you got? You got anything?
Diet Coke.
Okay. I know
We're lucky Dan's here right now, actually.
We're
Dan's
gonna drink Diet Coke.
We're lucky he's even here right now.
The aspartame will eat your brain.
It's true enough, and it has.
Dan officially had enough of the pandemic last week, so we're lucky he's even sitting here with us today.
Yeah,
really,
I don't know if anybody on the show knows this. I may have mentioned it to Ren. I was in Atlantic City the past couple of days.
No, I didn't know that. I knew you were off, but I didn't know you were
Dan Tordjman, danger seeker.
I will say I did go. Immediately when I came back, I took a COVID test yesterday. So
you took a Breeders' Cup mask?
Yeah, no, and I do have a Breeders' Cup, and I was wearing that Breeders' Cup mask at the blackjack
table. You looking around going I think that person has COVID, and I think that person probably has COVID.
The Rico Woodbine Mile coming your way here in a moment. Sound, we've got sound. Okay. Let me put the sound on so we can all sit back and enjoy this race.
Come on, William.
Let me know if you hear. Are you hearing the sound?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
TPM moves up.
5, 6, 8, baby. All the way to the bank. Exacta box.
Hey, you got the Redskins to win last week. Maybe you could make this happen.
They're not called that anymore, Dan. Get with the times.
Anything's possible.
Back to Woodbine today.
The Washington football team.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
All in and locked up. Away they race. And a very nice break for War of Will. Got out well. So too is Admiralty Pier. And Value Proposition's on the lead. They share it. Value Proposition. Admiralty Pier by a length. War of Will drops in for the third spot. Now coming through are both Starship Jubilee and Shell Spite on the inside, settling in third. Behind that main bunch is On the Rails, Armistice Day, and 2 away Olympic Runner. And March to the Arch is last. The tempo is not overly keen. Admiralty Pier by a length. Value Proposition. Shell Spike glides along the hedge. A length away came War of Will.
There, Cheryl
in the center is the mare, Starship Jubilee. On the inside, Armistice Day, and 2.5 to March to the Arch. And Olympic Runner the outside. About 6 lengths covers them. A little bit
Overlander
more now.
out here.
Going out in front, Admiralty Pier for Steve Bay, and by 2 to Value Proposition. A bit rank into the turn. On the inside, Shell Spites had the run of the race. A length behind them is War of Will on the outside, improving now. Starship Jubilee, the
Fractions
center.
are fast
Back
enough.
on the rails, Armistice Day from Olympic Runner. March to the Arch at the back in the center. They come inside the 3/8. Admiralty Pier out in front by a length of Value Proposition. Off the track, War of Will. Shell Spite on the inside. In the center, Starship Jubilee. And as they come down the lane, Olympic Runner is wider. And racing out in front, going to the front, War of Will.
Look at Olympic Runner.
Pier. They share it from Starship Jubilee. Olympic Runner down the outside, and March to the Arch getting home between horses, but Starship Jubilee has run to the front, and Starship Jubilee out in front of War of Will. March to the Arch into second spot, but Starship Jubilee has gone on to defeat the boys in the Rico Woodbine Mile.
Wow.
Starship Jubilee from March to the Arch. War of Will was
That's just infuriating, Dan. Really.
She loves Woodbine. She loves Woodbine. She's 6 for 13 with and she's been in the money nine of those 13 starts, and she's 5 for 8 at the distance.
And she just ran a mile in 132 flat against some very good horses.
Oh,
And
wow.
well, I got to give, again, you got to give Atard a lot of credit here, claiming this horse for 16, believed in her despite her getting beat last time out against the fillies in the Diana. She was Horse of the Year in Canada for a reason. Yeah. She loves the E.P. Taylor turf course, as you mentioned, Ren, and she got a really nice trip, and she finished home today really well.
Yeah.
I think Cheryl Spite was exposed. This was the first time he faced good company. Yep. I thought he had a very good trip down towards the inside.
Yeah,
when the hole opened up, there was nothing there for him. And I was a little surprised. Were you guys a little surprised that War of Will was so far back and that Chad's horse was so close to the pace?
Yeah,
I was, yes. I thought it was going to be the reverse.
Yeah, go
ahead.
I'm sorry.
Well, I noticed when he came out of the gate that already the hold was being on because you could see his mouth open. And when a horse opens his mouth like that, it's because I'm an equestrian, so the bit is being obviously pushed back to an uncomfortable type, degree. So already taking him at, I'm not going to sit here and armchair quarterback or jockey back, however you want to say it now. But I'm always of the opinion, let a horse kind of do what they naturally want to do. So I don't know if that was the best strategy. But she herself, I also got to give credit because we saw her kind of, I don't know what happened. There was a little bit of a rank moment too, where her neck kind of viewed, and she still overcame that to really decisively win. I mean, that's very impressive. Dan Illman, if you can reiterate just what a great story this is, because she,
again, claimed for $16,000 in 2017. She's gone on before this race to make over $1 million for her connections, and she's just had a sensational year, except for the Diana, which was the one and only hiccup. But I really think that Bram deserves all the credit in the world, because that pick of Olympic Runner, that was ran a huge race in here. I mean, maybe just didn't see out the mile, but that was just a tremendous selection at 58-1 to run fourth in this race. That was a great pick, man.
Yeah, and I'll take the credit away by saying him laughing at Starship Jubilee when I was making the case for her, that negates any props I was going to give Bram. So
well, again, Dan, did you bet on her? Because
no, I did, and I did the same thing yesterday. Ren and I we did a preview show, and we were watching and betting on a couple of races at Woodbine. In the finale last night, I made this case for the 25-1 shot. I'm like, this horse, like, it does not make sense. This horse is 25-1. This horse has every chance winning this race. But I had a horse that I'd already said was my top selection and was 5-1. So what do? I'm all in on that horse. No money on the 25-1 and 25-1 wins. Same thing sort of here. I was like so dead set on Admiralty Pier, and I had, value proposition. I'm like, I can't see this horse not running well. Horse finished last. And then the other one that sort of seemed like, very playable was Starship Jubilee. And it's just, the woes of horse players. Obviously, I made cases for 3 or 4 horses in this race. So it's not like I did anything that spectacular. But this result does not surprise me, really.
And guys, look who the rider is of Starship Jubilee.
Yeah, I saw that. Yes.
Right now, it's just impossible to stop the guy. He's winning everything. March to the Arch ran very well again. He was closing at the end of this race. War of Will kind of made the first run. I thought that pace was pretty quick, Dan. What'd you think there? I thought they were going a pretty good clip, and I think we kind of saw this pace fall apart a little bit at the end. So maybe War of Will deserves a little bit of extra credit for making the first run into that fast pace. But Starship Jubilee, the best on this day.
I totally agree. When I was watching Admiralty Pier on the front end, he looked like he was going pretty easy. And Robert Geller, I think, even said into the, at least like right after they posted the quarter split, he said, they're not going too fast. I said, maybe I'm missing something here. And then they post a half mile in 46 and 2, was it? Maybe even 46 and 1. And I was like, oh boy, they are they're going faster than I'd like here. And Admiralty Pier, again, I give him credit for hanging in as long as he did. Gave it up late, badly. But yeah, as you said, War of Will with the early move to hang in for third was pretty impressive. We do have our guy who said that he wouldn't win. He said, told you so.
But you said he wasn't going to hit the board, boy.
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
so he
Robert,
technically
you said he wasn't going to hit the board.
But then I always love when our viewers like start fighting with each other, or sometimes they start like being nice to each other. But this response was classic, Robert. Too.
I still like you.
Robert Corbin,
I don't know you, but I like you.
What is that? Katie the two taking what name is that? That's
a
too
lot.
confusing. Yeah.
It's got a train in there.
Michael here hit. He said he called it earlier. I didn't see that comment. If you called it here, I didn't see it. So apologies for not putting it on the screen. But congrats on your hit.
Can we also give a shout out to the fact that she's 7 years old?
Yeah, that's
doing this. I mean,
very impressive.
It definitely is. It's pretty interesting because in the show world, for example, you don't even get your career really started until you're 4. Okay, so in the thoroughbred world, when we're seeing horses at, thinking, oh, 7 years old is so old. It's not in the show world. And so these horses are definitely capable of having successful careers on track, so long as they show the interest and the ability to run at the level that they are expected to show based upon their best races.
And just consider she's won races, Ren, at distances of 5 furlongs, now the major race at a mile, and of course the major race for fillies and mares in Canada on the turf. She won the E.P. Taylor last year at 1.25 miles. So she's just so versatile.
Exactly. And like I said, so long as a horse sustains their form, let them keep running if they have the interest. And it's exciting to think of the fact also, and I know it's different distance and whatnot, but it is still, and there's different pace dynamics that go all into it, but it's still exciting to think that Rushing Fall beat her by 4. By 4 lengths, because she was 4th that day in the Diana. So I'm just excited to see how this whole Breeders' Cup picture in all the races is shaping up, because we've got some amazing talent. It's just too bad, obviously, that we can't have fans on site to witness it, but we'll do our best to bring the excitement to them virtually.
Quick question for all you guys. Where would you run Starship Jubilee in the Breeders' Cup? Would you run her in the mile? Would you run her in the filly and mare turf? I mean, there's so many options.
There are options. I would. Why not go against the boys again in the mile?
Yeah, I mean, I would try to avoid Rushing Fall.
Yes.
I think first and foremost. So yeah, I mean, I think, and I don't know, what do you make of Sister Charlie? I mean, is Sister Charlie just
I don't know.
Is that old news?
I just wonder if she's had her best race.
Yeah.
She's a beautiful horse, and obviously has a lot of talent. I just think that maybe she's had her best race already.
Yeah. How about you, Dan? What do you say? Yeah, just send her to the mile.
I'm concerned with what I've seen from Sister Charlie this year. Her first race back, I didn't think was very good when Starship Jubilee beat her. I thought maybe she was a little better in the Diana we talked about, and that the pace just didn't come back and they ran 1-2 around the track. Mm-hmm. But I think Chad's been frustrated with what she's seen from Sister Charlie. You run her in the Breeders' Cup because she deserves a chance there. I mean, her career has been outstanding, but I think right now it's a very odd situation for her to be in because she's on the outside looking in.
Yeah, that is interesting. So there are 2 races tomorrow that are win your in races. Ren will get to those, but for now, because I know they have dinner plans and they have better things to do but to hang out with us any longer, want to thank both Bram Weinstein and Dan Illman for spending a little while with us today. And Bram, I believe there you go. Bram, you missed the open music today. What
was it? Did you go? Was it full EDM today, or what'd you have today?
It was classic Tiesto, man.
You didn't want to pull. You didn't want to pull like Drake for Toronto or something. You didn't want to do that. What are you gonna do today?
But Bram, hopefully we'll have you back next week. We'll be doing BC Live again. Huge day of racing next week at Santa Anita. Saturday we'll be live, same time, same place. But yeah, for now, Dan, Bram, thank you for spending time with us today.
Thank you for having us on. Appreciate it.
All right.
Bye, Dan. Bye, Ren. Bye, everyone.
I'll see you soon.
They're awesome.
All right, Ren.
Yes.
2 more races to get to tomorrow.
I know. I'm gonna pull it up right now.
Be live for these, but
no, I know. I wish
people can watch them. They can watch them on NBCSN tomorrow. NBC Sports Network will be carrying the Natalma Stakes and the Summer Stakes. I'll give you the setup here, and then Ren, I'll let you dive into the race. The Natalma Stakes, you get automatic entry into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf.
That's right.
You also get, if I can scroll back here, $30,000 in entry fees paid by the Breeders' Cup. a $10,000 award to the nominator, and a $10,000 travel allowance for horses stabled outside of Kentucky. The winner you're in, Natalma Stakes. You want to start with that one, Ren? How do you see that?
Okay, the Natalma Stakes is later in the card because the Summer Goes Off is race 7. The Natalma is race 9. The Natalma, of course, named for the dam of Northern Dancer. So, it's especially fun to talk pedigree about regarding a race that's named for the dam of one of the most influential sires we've ever seen. The way I looked at this race, you have so many well-bred horses in here. And as I've already brought up to you before, you have a horse who's very closely related to Cheryl Spite. Where did he actually end up finishing?
Way back there. I didn't see. I'll look it up while you're going through this race, and I'll let.
And I wouldn't necessarily. You think too much going forward what this horse may. It's hard for a 3-year-old to go up against battle-tested older males like that.
Yeah.
So give the horse a little bit of a mulligan. We'll see what he does next out. But Lady Spite Spear herself, I think this is a horse who potentially has the type of speed that she can stretch it out to this mile because she debuted at 7. And basically get the lead and not look back. She set, honest fractions in that debut. She's coming into this race off a bullet work, 5 furlongs on the turf, going 58-3. So obviously she likes the surface. She's a daughter of Spitestown. He won the 2004 Breeders' Cup Sprint, was your Eclipse champion sprinter. And then on the bottom, she's out of Lady Shakespeare. And Lady Shakespeare, she's a grade 2 winner, but as I mentioned before, she's also a full sister to Woodbine Mile winner and Joe Hirsch Turf Classic champ Shakespeare. Okay, so you've got credentials right there. Additionally, I think she'll be able to get that the distance because her dam is by Theatrical. Theatrical won the 87 Breeders' Cup Turf, so there's more Breeders' Cup ped cred in there for you. So again, I just think she's a really nicely bred horse here. Emma Jane Wilson has the call. Roger Atfield is the trainer. Obviously, we know just what a decorated trainer he is there at Woodbine. And Charles Fipke is the owner and breeder. So the horses that we have to think about, obviously, Alda makes a lot of sense for Grand Motion coming in here. Daughter of Munnings out of Soldata by Maria's Mon. The thing is, by the way, I will say she does hail from the female family of some Canadian champions in Fanfreluce, L'Angelor, La Voyageuse. She definitely has the credentials from that standpoint. We also see in that debut, you see the horse Wink in there, Dan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Wink next won the Colleen Stakes and then was 1 length second in the Group 3 Prix de Ehrenberg at Longchamp. Okay, and that was 2 lengths in front of Levachope, who had won the Group 3 Prix du Bois before finishing 6th in the Prix Morny, which the Prix Morny is open to fillies and males, which Campanelle won, or Campanelle. So obviously we know Wink is a really nice horse, and this filly on debut finished 3rd, only a length and a quarter off her sprinting. And I mean, I think the mile is obviously fine for her. We saw her win the Catch a Glimpse by a Nose, getting that 79 buyer. We see Dreaming of Drew is also in this race coming out there, and Illegal Smile is also in the race. Illegal Smile will be in the Woodbine Cares today.
Coming up in just 15 minutes. Yeah. Yes,
for Wesley Ward. And Illegal Smile is a very talented filly.
Currently 3-2, by the way.
All right. But the thing is, I think the horse is pretty interesting to me. Well, I should mention Dreamy Drew also, just because the fact that we saw Justin Stein just win, and he's on fire. And this filly obviously has a lot of talent. She has the best buyer of the field, I believe, at getting an 81. She is by Spitestown, another Spitestown daughter. Her dam, Dreaming of Liz by El Prado. El Prado is phenomenal, by the way. Won the national stakes at 2 years old. Just really, really blue-blooded horse. But her dam, Dreaming of Liz, won the Arlington Washington Lassie. And the second dam, Silver Madden, won the Grade 1 Frisette and also the Arlington Washington Lassie. So you've got that precociousness to be able to win a graded stakes race early. But the horse at a big price that I think could definitely show up is Seasons.
I'm listening. All right. Big price I like.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at obviously that debut, the fractions that they set were slow. I mean, there's nothing shocking and, impressive about that. And you'll see the same thing with the males coming out of the Saratoga race, that there were slow fractions there as well. That being said, when I watched the race back, it looked to me like she could have gone faster if she wanted to. I think she was just galloping along. And when they asked her to go, she went. Was there a little bit of greenish? Sure. But she looks like she has a lot of talent under there that wasn't even tapped into at all. So here I think you're going to get a much more honest pace. And I think that she will very much take advantage of the fact that of it being a more honest contest, just because, like I said, you didn't really get into her at all. And you can tell there is something there. She tracked inside, as it says in the running line, which is true. And she didn't show that she was intimidated by that either, which is very important to me, because with a youngster in particular, you want to see that they have their head on straight when they're going to stakes competition. She definitely showed me that. But on top of it, she is so well bred. Obviously, anytime a mare gets to tap it, it's got to be a really good broodmare. In this case, you can see that right on the page there, because her dam is Winter Memories. Okay, so your dam's Winter Memories, who's obviously a multiple Grade 1 winner. She herself was second in the 2010 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. But she's out of Memories of Silver, who's another multiple Grade 1 winner, who was fifth against males in the 96 mile. So it's just a deep, deep pedigree. I don't think, again, that we saw her get asked in that race. I think, again, you're going to see a more honest pace here, and we'll actually see her show some interest. Looking back at that race, however, the horse who finished fifth, Fluffy Socks, was a next out winner at Kentucky Downs, got a 63 buyer, which isn't super impressive, but
it's a great name. So
Fluffy Socks.
I'm glad we mentioned it. Too.
So that's a horse that I would probably lean personally on Lady Spite Spear, but for a big upset seasons.
I like that. Yeah, I'm going to be playing, especially with what I've lost today. I'm definitely going to be chasing tomorrow. So,
are you playing this race?
This upcoming race?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna play the Delacour horse, the 4 Chatelet with
that's the other horse.
Yeah,
that's the other horse. I definitely agree with you.
All right, the Summer Stakes, by the way, the other one, I'm sorry for going in reverse order, Ren.
Oh, no worries.
But the Summer Stakes, automatic entry into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf on November 6th. $30,000 in entry fees paid by the Breeders' Cup, $10,000 reward to the nominator, $10,000 travel allowance for horses stabled outside of Kentucky. Ren.
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Well, I mean, this is a situation where you could, with 2-year-olds it's hard, okay? Because they can jump up unexpectedly out of the blue, okay? That being said, I do think it is very impressive that your 2-to-1 favorite, Gretzky the Great, has shown so much ability sprinting because he's out of a Bernardini mare. So that tells me, I mean, obviously, Nyquist himself won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and then went on to win the Kentucky Derby. So we know Nyquist could get a distance. Nyquist himself was son of another Breeders' Cup Juvenile champion and Uncle Mo. So already you've got the precociousness, you've got the talent. On the bottom side, then, like I said, you've got Bernardini, who's just been a tremendous broodmare sire, broodmare sire of Serengeti Empress, Catholic Boy. I mean, there's just a number of really great horses that are out of Bernardini mares. And Bernardini himself, 2006's Eclipse champion, 3-year-old. So I do think this horse is going to be just fine stretching out. And like I said, he's already shown talent sprinting. The problem is he's such a short price. And these are 2-year-olds, and a horse can jump up. So it's like, okay, well, where would I want to try to make some money? American Monarch obviously makes a lot of sense, but he's 5-2, and that's not super exciting. And here's where I was talking about, again, you see really slow fractions in there, going 25-3 for the first quarter, 50-3 for, I mean, it's not impressive, but he did close to get the win by half length. But the horse that I think may jump up with the addition of Lasix, and it's not a tremendously awesome price, but it's better at 3-1, is Secret Potion for Chad Brown. Secret Potion as you see, is the horse that was setting the soft fractions in the race. But I think there's definitely more under the tank. And I'm not necessarily of the belief that he was a horse that needs the lead. I think he had the one hole. He just went. Nobody else is probably going. We've seen that a lot, don't you think, at Saratoga, that nobody seems to just go for the lead?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a standard evergreen tweet and post by horse players on Twitter. It happened again. How did I not see that coming? Exactly.
Right. So, just in my opinion, throw it out altogether. Out of that race, the horse who was third, Pivotal Mission, was next, a half length second in the juvenile at Kentucky Downs. The fourth place finisher, Hidden Enemy, was 2 lengths beat by Restored Order and made special weight. He got a 76 buyer for that effort. And then the 6th place horse in there, Fire at Will, won an off-turf event with anticipation, actually. It was a field of 4, but still. But the pedigree to me is what really speaks the loudest for this horse, because as you see, he's by Into Mischief. Let's also remember, in addition just to the talent we're seeing Into Mischief throw, Into Mischief is a half brother to Mendelssohn, who won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. And then he's out of Caxambus Pass by Tis Now. Tis Now, as I always say, only horse to win the Breeders' Cup Classic twice. But this mare is a half sister to multiple Grade 1 winning turfer Point of Entry. She's also half to another multiple Grade 1 winner in Pine Island. This is the female family of Hall of Famer Sky Beauty. It's the family of Maple Jinsky, Dejour, Gold Beauty, their dam, who's a champion sprinter. It's just super, super deep. And like I said, to get a 71 buyer first out when you're looking at, the shape of that race. And like I said, I don't think he took the lead because he's necessarily the speed horse, because we see that, I think he's a better price. And again, if you're going to let Chad Brown go by you at a price, I don't think it should be here in a 2-year-old race when he's going to ship for purpose.
Well, hopefully runs better than value proposition.
I know. Believe me, I do.
No, I bought into it too. And then looking at the off odds for the Woodbine Mile, he continued to drift late. I went off 7-1 at the end of the day, above the morning line. March to the Arch. It was the horse who took the late money. He ended up going off 5-2, and he ran an enormous race. He ran a big race.
I was so focused on William. What happened? What happened to value proposition?
He was just there tracking. I think the pace was fairly hot, so you either wanted to be, loose on it, or I don't think you wanted to be chasing it. And he just didn't really look overly comfortable. I mean, I think turning for home, he already looked like he was in a bit of trouble and just backed out. I'm refreshing here the chart to see if I can give you a final order of finish, but it's not posted yet. So
and I should mention also with Secret Potion, another reason I do like him, in addition to getting Lasix, which I do think Lasix, I don't consider it a performance enhancement. Although I guess it's kind of contrary when I do say it can be an advantage, but okay, whatever your opinion is, I do think he gets a bit more of an edge with it. But also, we're going from a 2-turn event to a 1-turn mile here, and I think that's going to better suit this horse.
Yep. I can show this real quick.
Sure. And I know you didn't deep dive into that, but do you have any?
No, my plan was to strictly take your analysis on 2-year-old races moving forward. So I'm going to ride with you. This horse right here, Legal Smile, you mentioned coming out of that common race.
Yes.
Even money right now. Wesley Ward. Luis Contreras up. And the other one we mentioned was Chatelet that we liked.
Yes.
The 4-horse, 8-1. Yeah, I just boxed these two in an exacta. Since we're doing overtime, since we're actually here watching it, we may as well just watch this race, I guess.
Okay, let's do it. Why not?
Unless you want to go off. So what else is going on in life?
Well, just, I don't know. You don't have much of a, well, that doesn't sound fair. When you have a 2-year-old, your life revolves around the 2-year-old, really.
We're not talking horses now, right? We're talking about.
Right. I'm talking about the
human 2-year-old you have.
The human 2-year-old. But she's amazing, and it's amazing being her mom.
Rocket Reload going in the Wake Care Stakes.
But you always post all the real positive stuff and the happy stuff. They say that they're like super terrible, right? I mean, terrible twos. Like you don't.
Well,
are there no bad moments you want to share?
I will say that she's actually really well mannered. She's gotten into the whole thing with Baby Shark. I don't know if you're familiar with this song.
Looks like she's been training well. Nice bullet coming into this one.
What is it? Is this, you're going to play us a song?
No, you don't want to hear it. So Baby Shark is like this little toddler song that's on these apps and YouTube and whatever, and she just loves it. So she makes me sing it to her. All the time.
You should not have divulged that, because now, Ren, please.
No. It's so bad.
The stage is yours.
Baby Shark. I can't do it. People will start to tune out. But in any case, it's pretty funny, and she has her whole method, because she has this little board. It's a puzzle board of fish, and the fish are all different colors. So now that she's seen the Baby Shark video, she's now associated that with the music video, and she's selected varying colors to represent Baby Shark, Mommy Shark, Daddy Shark, Grandma Shark, and Grandpa Shark. And it's always the same ones. She is determined she's the red one, and I'm pink, and that's blue. Grandma's orange, and Grandpa is yellow. And it's the funniest thing. She performs for me. I tell you, everybody says it's about their kid. My kid is brilliant. She's so smart. But she always wants to be the center of attention. That's the only thing. And I don't know where she gets that from.
Right. I can't imagine. I can't imagine at all.
I have no idea. What are you up to? So tell me more about this trip to Atlantic City. What the heck?
Yeah, I just had to get away for a couple of days. Like I was just exhausted all around work and everything else. So I was like, I'm just getting away for a couple of days. So my initial plan was like shut my phone off entirely and just have fun, gamble a little bit, play some blackjack.
Were you concerned? I mean, going to a casino atmosphere where you are, how do you go about that in a time of COVID?
No, it's a good question. So luckily, and maybe not luckily, but I have a family who are just like total degenerate gamblers who go to the casinos all the time. And so like my uncle and my mom had already been to Atlantic City like 4 or 5 times in the past couple of months.
Oh, wow.
And and since they had gone, they had assured me that it was safer to hang out at the Borgata than it was to go to any, I don't want to say supermarket as an example, but literally any restaurant or any other outdoor establishment, because they have taken such precautions. First of all, there's like a heat detector when you walk in. So like a crowd walking through, if they detect anyone's got a fever or temperature, they stop you right there at the door at the entrance. There are like sanitizer stations everywhere. There, there are hand washing stations everywhere. But on top of it, like a traditional blackjack table would sit 6 people or 7 people.
Right. Now
all their table games, they're only allowing 3 people maximum, and there's a plastic like divider between each seat. So the seats are separated by space and also by dividers, and there's also a shield between you and the dealer. So there's that. There were a couple of people who like momentarily pulled their mask down to just rub their nose or something. They like automatically. Pretty much, they come up to you. They're like, "What are you doing? Sanitize your hands and put your mask back on right away."
Yeah.
So it's nuts. By the way, this thing with my throat and voice is like something that's been going on for months. So it's not related to COVID. Don't fear.
No worries.
They took every precaution. So I wasn't overly concerned, to be honest, and it was good. I really needed it. I actually won a few bucks, which I've given back threefold today betting the races.
We'll make it back tomorrow on seasons and
exactly.
And
I need you to just spell out the bets for me. I need you to just email me the exact bets. I'll just enter them as you send them, because if I just take your opinions and bet them the way I'm going, I'm not gonna.
Well, you still want to make sure you use Lady Spite Spear, even though you're not going to get a price on her.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I need you to just do the tickets for me. Assume my budget's $50 a race.
I got it.
And just do the ticket.
What if you
Email
just
it.
send me your money? You can just transfer your money to me, and
I'll happily send you my money. I'll send you my money. I'll totally send you my. Just let me know where to Venmo the money, and I'll send it totally.
you got to be a Delacour fan, right? I mean, he.
Oh, I love Delacour. Absolutely. Yeah. Look, you know me. I'm a Mid-Atlantic homer. Like I always root for those horses. So I bet here, like to close out my day, I've got a $30 exacta, 7 with 4, and a $10 exacta, 4 with 7.
Well, let's do it.
We'll see what happens. Let me see if I get some audio up.
Foot on the inside with Super Munnings, Rocket Reload on the outside,
hearing
and pushing
sound?
through his Chatelet, caught a bit wide, a Legal Smile, and Handy on the rails in a bunch to fair Silent Mamba, and Last Forest Drift. Going to the front, Chatelet from Super Munnings, Rocket Reload on the outside, sharing third with Dirty Dangle, and in the center, Forest Drift improving, caught wide, still a Legal Smile, and on the inside, Silent Mamba. There's only 3.5 lengths covering this field. Super Munnings joins Chatelet, a length and a half to Rocket Reload after them, and on the inside, Dirty Dangle, a Legal Smile is winding up now on the extreme outside as they hit the quarter pole.
Wow.
In the Woodbine Care Stakes, they stack up a line of 4. On the rail, Chatelet, Super Munnings, Rocket Reload, and down the outside, a Legal Smile. As Rocket Reload has found the lead, a Legal Smile now challenging strongly on the outside.
Wow.
Illegal Smile and Rocket Reload, a Legal Smile, and Dirty
very
Dangle on the
gamey.
outside.
Wow.
Dirty Dangle mows them down, and what a win, Dirty Dangle.
This
For Sheena
time.
Ryan.
This
Second
time.
home, a Legal Smile.
Ooh.
Third, Rocket Reload.
Wait, what did you say?
Not this time. Is this time? Okay, first of all, can I just say this real quick? Sorry to the owners. The name of this poor filly, Dirty Dangle. I mean, I don't know what that is, but
I don't know what that is either. It doesn't sound good.
It doesn't sound good, especially. I mean, I am of the opinion always give a horse a name that you want to see on a trophy. Set them up for success, right? Not This Time is on fire. He's already got a Grade 1 winner with Princess Noor, and now another stakes winner here, winning the Woodbine Cares in Dirty Dangle. Wow, can I just say, like,
that down 10 to 1 to 9 to 2. I'll also say just real quick, and I'll let you get back into Not This Time. Sheena Ryan is a rider who doesn't get that many mounts at Woodbine.
But she makes the most of it.
She really does. I mean, just a great ride. I mean, obviously, there wasn't much choice there. The pace was hot up front. Chatelet went way too fast.
I agree.
Absurdly fast, taking pressure. And so, I mean, that horse obviously had no shot. But Rocket Reload was close enough to it, and I thought made a bit of an early move and was pretty game through most of the stretch. And then obviously Illegal Smile going by late. And then Dirty Dangle just had a ton left. And just to be able to get in the clear and just mow these horses down. Just a really sharp ride getting up just in time by Sheena Ryan. All right, go back. I'll let you get back into the pedigree. Sorry.
Oh, no. I mean, I was just going to say the fact that this is his freshman crop that we're seeing. Stands at TaylorMade stud. He himself had won the Iroquois in 2016. And had he not had a really bad start in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, he may have gotten a Classic. I'm a huge fan of Classic Empire too, so we'll never know for sure. But there was enough reason to think he could have gotten to him in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile that year. Now he's at stud representing. It's kind of nice to see him taking up the mantle because we lost Giants Causeway, and as a son of Giants Causeway coming into the picture like this, and just these horses are running off the screen. It's unbelievable and it's super exciting. I'm part of a freshman sire contest. Thankfully, I have Not This Time on there.
That is probably one of the uncoolest things I've ever heard anyone say.
Oh no, it's not cool. It's not uncool. Trust me, because there's a potential for a big payout. But another horse actually.
If there's money to be won, I'm a lot more receptive to it.
And so I have him on there. I have Frosted, Not This Time, Nyquist.
Oh wow! Oh, no wonder you were so happy.
Yes, and I have Air Force Blue, who has a first-time starter coming up here in the 11th race, who is my pick, Valhalla Air Base, by the way.
Okay. We are not sticking around for that.
No, I hear you, but that's my pick there. In that race, Valhalla Air Base, because Air Force Blue himself, champion 2-year-old in Europe, just really good-looking horse too. He's at Coolmore, and this horse is out of Ella's Music, who's by Not Bourbon. Not Bourbon won the Queen's Plate, was champion 3-year-old there in Canada. So it's a really nice pedigree. And like I said, it's not ideal. The horse is in the 10 hole, but it's a 6.5 furlong event. I think he'll navigate it. She'll navigate a trip. But in any case, or he rather. But yeah, Not This Time is just incredible. So yeah, okay. Frosted, Not This Time, Nyquist. Air Force Blue is on my list. And then you have to pick a horse who's got a book of less than like 30 mares. Or maybe it was 30 is, I'm sorry, that's hyperbole. But
you go with Juba?
No, a small book. So I put Tamar Cruz. Because why not? People are all hyping up Speightster, right? Well, guess what? Tamar Cruz is the son of Speightstown too. And so that's on my list as well. So hopefully, I don't know, we'll see how it goes as the year
progresses. I feel like I would never play against you in any pedigree-based handicapping contest or wagering contest. Like, it just does not seem to be a prudent thing to do.
I've been sitting here on my waiting for these Frosted to start rolling. It felt like because of the COVID situation, things were in a holding pattern. We're now starting to see more of them. There was one that won today. The incentive to Frosted just beyond the fact. I mean, you being a New York guy, were you there for his wins in the Whitney and
I was, yeah.
And I mean, amazing, right?
Yeah, the Met Mile was just one of the more incredible, breathtaking performances I've ever seen in my life. I mean, to see that live in person was just, I mean, it was stunning. It was a stunning effort. So
I completely agree. So I mean, here you have him as being a son of Tappet, but then on the bottom side, he's out of Fast Cookie. And Fast Cookie, you may not know this, but when I'm looking at a horse who may throw precociousness, you want to really look at the female family, and she is a half sister to Midshipman, who won the British Juvenile and Champion Juvenile. So this is the type of pedigree you look for to hopefully pass that on to the Get, and that's why I have him on my list. But Nyquist and Outwork and all these sons of Uncle Mo, Coolner's got to be stoked to see these sons of Uncle Mo, no matter where they're standing. These babies are running, so he's really become he's really poised to become these sire. So
absolutely.
Anyway,
all right, before we close out, I did want to give you that final order of finish. Starship Jubilee, obviously your winner of the Rico Woodbine Mile. March to the Arch, finished second, a very honest effort. Again, always shows up. Finishing third, War of Will. Fourth, way outrunning the odds, Olympic runner at 50-something-1. Armistice Day, also outrunning the odds at about 100-1, finishing fifth. Wow, that's not too bad at all. Admiralty Pier hangs around to finish sixth after setting very fast fractions early. Sherrill's Spite finishes seventh, second to last, and Value Proposition finishes last. So
what's so funny? I wasn't sure. I wasn't 100% sure. I just checked on my laptop just now because I was like, I think Armistice Day was a play of the day for me back when he debuted, and he was. He was.
Did he win?
I'm looking at. I believe he did. Right. Race 1 number. It was for July 1st. I don't know if it's still on the PPs here. July 1st. Or no, I know it's off the page. So Armistice Day. Yeah, I was excited about him. I said, oh no. Declaration of War. He's out of Grade 1 winner Harmony Lodge, who equaled the track record for 5.5 at Saratoga. And then it just goes on. So I had a whole reason to like this horse back when he debuted. So that doesn't mean anything for today, obviously, but I'm gonna pretend that it does, just because. Nice. Off a big price. Anyway, Dan, I've always have so much fun. Thank you again for having me on. And do we have something? What do we have coming up?
So the two races that you talked about a little while ago, the Summer Stakes, the Natalma Stakes, tomorrow at Woodbine. You could catch that coverage on NBCSN, NBC Sports Network, starting at 4:00 Eastern time. TV coverage then takes a little bit of a break and resumes on Friday, October 2nd, with the Darley Alcibiades and the Stoll Keenan Ogden Phoenix on NBCSN from Keeneland already around the corner, October 2nd. And then October 3rd, of course, that's Preakness Stakes Day. The Preakness this year, a win and you're in for the Longines Breeders' Cup Classic. You can catch that coverage, plus the Shadwell Turf Mile and the Claiborne Breeders' Futurity on NBC. But there is a lot of Challenge Series action coming up before then, including a huge weekend of Win and You're In action next weekend, next Saturday, specifically at Santa Anita Park, the Speakeasy Stakes, the Rodeo Drive, the American Pharoah Stakes, the Chandelier Stakes, and of course, the feature, the Awesome Again Stakes. Ren and I will be back next Saturday for Breeders' Cup Live. I don't know what time we're going to go live. We got to see what time post times are for some of the key races. I would imagine we maybe go even longer than we did today. So I'm
gonna put you on the spot.
Go ahead.
Do you know the cool fact about Awesome Again? I mean, I know you know. You'll bring up. This is more for the viewers who maybe don't follow racing.
I wouldn't estimate my historical. Like I always tell people this. Like I came into racing first and foremost as a gambler, and like I also have a very horrible memory. And so there are a few horses.
Is that why you watch every backtrack on Formulator?
Absolutely. Like I literally watch. I mean, that's why. I mean, it takes me forever to handicap races because I am not great at taking notes, unfortunately. I do have manage. I do the virtual stable thing, and I get updates when horses that I like are running, and I have notes there. But I just have a terrible memory, and so. That plays into like when you were saying not this time, it literally took me 10 minutes to figure out, oh yeah, I remember that horse. It's like I mean the horse was like such a big deal as a 2-year-old. Like I mean it was like all the buzz. That was only 4 years ago. It seemed like it was 40 years ago though. I almost completely forgot not this time. You obviously do a great job of keeping up with these horses. Especially the ones that that go into the breeding shed and all the rest of it, and that become big stallions and obviously the mares as well. But yeah, so I wouldn't overestimate my sort of fandom and historical race memories. If I didn't make money on the race, or if I didn't just lose very painfully, there's a very good chance I'm not going to remember the race. That's just being completely honest.
No, I hear you, but I always love I always love fun trivia factoid type stuff, the fun fact. Things that we can throw on Twitter. So Awesome Again, as we know, tremendous racehorse, won the 98 Breeders' Cup Classic. And then he went on to sire a Breeders' Cup Classic winner in Go Sapper. And for a long time, he was the only horse to have won the Classic to sire a Classic winner. And then last year, we had Carroll, who's a Breeders' Cup Classic champ. His son, Vino Rosso, won the Classic. So now there are two Classic winners who've gone on to sire Classic winners, but again, the first being Awesome Again. So that's pretty neat.
Oh, that's good.
I love that.
This is what we can do next week. Ask me the question, and I'll answer it, and I'll look like I know what I'm talking about. Because anyway, it's the end of the day now. Like viewership is waning because we've been on for 2 hours now. No one's gonna know. Like for the 90 or the 101 people who are still on right now, they'll know. But who knows? They may not even tune in next week. So I say we're
fun in time. I mean, how many times do I crack jokes and they go, "Oh, I'm just joking." I really mean my jokes because they're not jokes; they're actually insults. And I do. I'm joking.
All right, right.
Again. Anyway,
fun as always.
As always.
Should I do? I can do a one of these Breeders' Cup flashback videos, classic Breeders' Cup. Let me show another turf. You know what? Since today was a turf race, and we were talking about the turf. Let me show a classic edition of the turf as we sign off. This is one I think we watched a couple of weeks back, but it's always a fun one. Gives people goosebumps. So I'll play it and we'll sign off.
Let's do it. Thank you, everybody.
They're off in the Breeders' Cup turf. And they're into the stretch, and the two fillies are 1-2, Magical and Enable, and they kick on from Sadler's Joy. It's Enable on the outside, in the center of the turf course. She has taken the lead, and she's pulling away from Magical, who continues to battle her though. It's these two, 1-2 down to the finish. Enable and Magical, and they're well clear of the others. Racing Royalty, Enable and Frankie Dettori. The ARC winner is the Breeders' Cup turf winner too.
And Enable able to do